Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. All right, the sincere brothers and sisters coming back to the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in these latter days. All right, via the Holy Spirit, which can only come by the blood of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, as we prepare for our deliverance out of this hellhole and the establishment of a righteous government on the planet Earth, under who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, under the authority of the Most High, who's going to establish him on earth, who's going to establish a nation, all right, of kings and priests headed by our King David, the throne of David, all right, where the heavens will meet the earth. Okay, that's ultimately the next rulership. Okay, and the end all be all of what we're preaching is a righteous government being set up on earth. All right, which prophecy lets us know that before that righteous government was set up on earth, which this earth lacks, the wicked government, all right, or the wicked rulers would be exposed. All right, and now they're scrambling and they're throwing out all of these false flag scenarios. All right, and even with this current shooting of Mr. C. Kirk, right? Whether it's a psyop, whether it's, real, whether it's fake, whether he's really alive, whether it's AI, really, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that what they're going to do in response to that to move forward with their NWO. And it's all going to be centered around, order, abkeo, of course, civil unrest, the left versus the right. Okay, the weaponization of speech as people are being fired, right? You have people being fired for going online, right? Here's an example, okay, which this is weird. The State Department has warned that immigrants who mock, praise, or justify the death of C. Kirk on social media could face consequences, including reviews of their legal status or blocking of visas. Okay. Um, bill introduced to strip U.S. passports from Americans who criticize, the small hats. Okay. Everywhere you look, okay, we can clearly see where this is all going. So your free speech will be taken away. Okay, you're gonna have more and more division. All right, and with the fact that they needed help finding the so-called shooter, that's gonna bring forth the implementation of Palantir, digital surveillance, facial recognition technology, so that we can find these shooters faster, which will lead into a MOTB. All right, after the digital ID, Tower of Babel scenario is presented as as a solution, the MOTB will definitely, all right, be implemented. Okay, this is why I said in one of my latest videos, a guy like C. Kirk is better off, all right, eliminated than alive. All right, he galvanized the minds of many of these Edomites. All right, as he was tapped into the pseudoscience, but he also said some things that were very true, dealing with the trans ideology and things like that. He would go to these college campuses and debate, and he gained a following. And now that he's gone, it's causing a rift. It's causing the right to say we need to stand up for ourselves. We need to eliminate the left. Okay, and it's going to lead to a war, right? Again, okay, as I typed in here, how do the rich elite benefit from divisions amongst the common people? All right, and I got this from the Elder Karatazar from Vegas. So I typed it in myself because that's basically who benefits from this all, from this division. All right. The rich elite often benefit from division amongst common people because disunity makes it easier to maintain power, wealth, and control. All right. Distraction from the real power structure. All right. You have these people fighting back and forth about a guy who was they just saw on the internet. Right. And no longer are they, worried about the Epstein files. No longer are they worried about the fact that their rent and mortgages are sky high, gas sky high, groceries sky high, cost of living sky high. Now they're arguing back and forth about a guy who got blasted, all right, at a rally. Okay, when people are busy fighting each other over race, religion, politics, or class, they spend less energy scrutinizing how wealth and influence are concentrated in the hands of a small elite. Even from 2020 with the Ovid situation, you should know what I'm talking about. Um, that was nothing but a power grab. The rich got richer and the poor got poorer, but all people did was fight back and forth about whether you took it or not. Divisions keep attention off of systemic inequality and corruption. All right, the divide and rule strategy. This is one of the oldest political strategies. Keep grounds suspicion, uh, keep grounds suspicious or hostile towards each other. Even how there's this whole C. Kirk, so-called killer is how it's unfolding. It's like a mystery. People, okay, is it him? Did he released a manifesto? That this, it's like a suspense, and people are watching it and turning more hostile towards one another, man. But they're now understanding that ultimately, as the scriptures say in Revelation 13 and 11, and we'll go back to that, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, his left-right paradigm, his democratic and republican system, and he spake as a dragon. Ultimately, he's getting ready to bring the pain and legislation and wage war on you people. And he got you warring against each other, but he's getting ready to war against all of you. Now, we'll go back to all of that. I wanted to start this news and prophecy off, okay? Because this is news and prophecy where we link the things happening worldwide to the Holy Scriptures, giving the faithful elect and remnant an assurance that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is in control. Okay, as we see our enemy, all right, it become more clear and clear that this is he just got to go. As you can see, this guy here, Elon Musk, look at his shirt. Right, you can see, they're all tapping into that, magic, their enchantments. But this is from a video off of GMS Vegas Sit Downs 144K. Make sure you subscribe and be edified. It's all playing into their hands. Babylon divided is their auto apkeo. Let's play a little bit of this.
Choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die. You either fight back or you die.
So here it is. You see Elon Musk, all right, telling the people of the UK that they need to fight back or die. And that's the sentiment that they're telling, all right, the maggers over here in the States, all right, fight back or die. Okay, and what are they fighting, over, there in the UK is the same policies that ultimately have been destroying America. Immigration, okay, free speech, right? As a matter of fact, play a little bit of this off of Redacted. The UK is effed. This man's system is all it's collapsing, but they're using the left-right paradigm as a means, all right, to bring to draw the people into more and more delusion and just go crazy.
Media, they're like, it was a few thousand people. Right, okay, just a few thousand people. The rally was organized to oppose immigration, calls for stronger border controls, and promote free speech and national unity. These people are sick and tired of being arrested for their tweets, for being held at the airport for 6 hours because of a post on social media that criticizes the government. Yes, the protests were mostly peaceful. And police say that there were just a dozen of police officers harmed and at least 25 arrests. So certain police officers were harmed and 25 arrests.
Now this is in the UK, all right. But look what your boy Elon Musk is telling him. You either fight back or die. Oh man.
That's the truth.
Today you're gonna think the British public are telling the world that they're ready to fight.
That same scenario is going to be used with this C. Kirk situation. Okay, and we'll show you.
Fight back.
Good. Yes.
Come on, right then.
Now he's in the comfort of his home or somewhere, wherever the hell he is. He ain't gonna fight back. He ain't gonna go out to the streets and go to bat with them. No, he's gonna send you crash dummies out there. All right, but this is how Babylon ends, man. Okay, the scriptures told us that it would be nothing but division amongst the people. Okay? 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and 24. And at that time, friends shall fight against one another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. So these are the times we're living in. All right? Civil unrest. All right? Egyptian against Egyptian. And they have the necessary psyops in place, right, to assist them in their plan.
Evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done.
And this plays on the mind and the psyche of the people. Okay? So there's going to be people looking at this, and you see a blonde-haired, all right, Edomite woman mourning the loss of her husband. All right, or he had children as well. This is going to make people go to bat, man. People are getting ready to wage war. Okay, don't be surprised if the so-called right strikes back against the left and some prominent guy on the left gets offed. Okay? And what's going to come next is the legislation needed to stop it all, which lays the grounds for the MOTB, amongst many other things they got going on.
They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. In this world, you have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever.
People who fantasize about a second American Civil War think it would just be flags, battles, and some kind of reset. The truth is, it would be the fastest collapse in modern history. Here are 5 terrifying realities of a civil war in America. Fact number 1, the grid would collapse in weeks. In the 1800s, families grew their own food and lit their homes with candles. Today, everything runs on power plants and substations. A war would take them offline fast, and once the grid collapses, there's no running water, no refrigeration, no internet. Fact number 2, supply chains would disintegrate. We depend on trucks, refineries, and imports for almost everything. Even grocery store bread comes from a dozen steps of the chain. Civil war stops trucks, halts refineries, and shuts ports. Within days, shelves go bare. Fact number 3, medicine would run out. Over 80% of U.S. pharmaceuticals come from overseas. Antibiotics, insulin, heart meds, all go once trade halts. Hospitals would run out of supplies in weeks, and without power, even the ones still open become death traps. Fact number 4, foreign powers and cartels would step in. In chaos, it wouldn't just be Americans fighting Americans. Our enemy countries and cartels would see an opportunity to carve up influence and territory while America tears itself apart. Fact number 5, disease and starvation could take out more people than bullets. When sewage backs up, trash piles in streets, and food disappears, it won't be firefights that get the most people. It'll be famine, disease, and collapse of public health.
And this is the plan. To bring about their NWO, this is what they need. Okay? There's a lot of deceit going on. Let's get Revelation 6, right? Revelation chapter 6 and 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him. See? A lot of death is coming. Okay? And hell followed him. All right, hell on earth. Look, everything that this man just described was a hell on earth condition. And power was given him, all right, unto them over the fourth part of the earth. All right, the fourth part of the earth speaks to Babylon, the great America, to kill with the sword and with hunger and with death and with the beast of the earth. All right, because once America, the concept of America, which is civil liberties and all of that, is taken away and collapsed, it makes it easier for them to move forth with their NWO. And this is what the elites want. They're collapsing economies all around the world. All right, but the main one they're going to need to collapse to get their NWO going is America. All right, so it's a lot of, all right, deception going on. There's a lot of things happening that are associated with forwarding that agenda. Now, okay, as we also showed you here, you know, surrounding this guy's death, you know, off of Dabu 7's channel, Dabu 77, you know, death announced 6 days before shooting, all right? Mystery book, 33 all over it and more, okay? So who knows, you know, what the hell is really going on. But what we're going to focus on here in this video is the aftermath and where they're going to go with it. So I'm going to start here. All right.
President Trump has just announced on Fox News that the suspected gunman who shot the conservative activist Charlie Kirk, killing him, has been caught. Trump said, quote, "I think with a high degree of certainty we have him in custody," unquote. Trump's comments.
All right, he thinks. See, that suspense is what they want. They want people, you know, locked into this. All right.
Came a day after the FBI announced a $100,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. Officials also released photos and video of the suspected gunman who shot Kirk during an outdoor event at Utah Valley University. A bolt-action rifle was also recovered in a wooded area near the campus. In one video, the suspected gunman is seen jumping from a roof on campus and running away. On Thursday.
So you mean to tell me that he was able to do this and jump off of a building and get away?
Today, President Trump said he'll honor Charlie Kirk with a posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. Trump also escalated his attacks on the political left, saying, quote, "We just have to beat the hell out of them." On the floor of the House,
we have radical left lunatics, okay? And it hasn't even really been confirmed yet. And we just need to beat the hell out of them. Okay.
Republican Representative Bob Onder of Missouri described the political left as, quote, "pure evil."
Well, everything has changed. If we didn't know it already, there is no longer any middle ground. Some of the American left are undoubtedly well-meaning people, but their ideology is pure evil. They hate the good, the truth, and the beautiful, and embrace the evil, the false, and the ugly.
This call comes as some lawmakers, including Congressmember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are canceling or postponing public events out of safety concerns. To talk about all of this and more, we're joined by Mehdi Hassan, editor.
All right, you can check that out on Democracy Now! Trump is weaponizing the murder of Charlie Kirk. Again, we told you that guy is better off gone than alive, so they can move forward with propaganda and turn him into an idol. This is what they do. Okay? Now, I wanted to go here.
There are two diametrically opposing reactions of the murder of Charlie Kirk that happened yesterday in Utah. The left, the Democrats, sitting presidents, are condemning this political act of violence and offering their thoughts with the family and supporters of Charlie.
Somehow, with that happening in Utah, we know it was an Edomite who did it. Somehow, Jake gets blamed. The last nigga I know from Utah was Karl Malone, the mailman. You know, there wasn't no Jake who did that. So why is this a message to Jake? You know, why are black college campuses getting threatened? Because ultimately Jake has been what? Put on that left. You hear Trump, you hear these senators, governors talking about the left and their ideology. You have to understand our people have been lumped into that. So waging war on the left means waging war on you as well. Okay? Matter of fact, let me show you this.
Right now, historically black colleges and universities across the country are currently under lockdown after a slew of threats that were called in today. Moments ago, Spelman College announcing a shelter in place over the threats, including at Clark Atlanta University, which is near their campus.
Other HBCUs receiving threats today: Hampton University, Virginia State University, Alabama University, Bethune-Cookman University, and Southern University. The schools urging students to remain vigilant, saying
this is why we told our people to stay out of this whole political left-right garbage. Because it was a snare. Civil rights, everything was a snare to bring you to this point. To where now you're lumped in with the left. Okay, and no matter what, your ideology and what you're just left. When they see a nigga, they see left. Shoot it, kill it. So the MAGers are being amped up to take action. Okay, to fight back, to stand up for themselves against the left. And Jake is caught up in that. Okay, may the Lord protect his elect, but things are getting ready to get crazy. Us being out on the highways and the byways, okay, what are they going to tie that to? They're going to tie that to some sort of a left-wing, scenario, Black Lives Matter. That's why they allow you to riot and tear shit up, and with no arrest, and your leaders encourage you to go tear down these businesses so that they can show that you're a damn savage. And a lot of it was set up by the left hand anyway. Okay? And now you're lumped in and it's too late. So now with the what's happening to E, he's getting called out. The small hats are getting called out. C. Kirk gets shot. Okay, they're tapping back into you being the problem with their statistics, because that's what C. Kirk was into. He was into bringing out those pseudo-scientific, statistics on how blacks, who are the smallest, percentage of people in the U.S., commit the most crimes. You're just inherently stupid, and there's a problem, the culture, yada, 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 And ironically, he was taken out. Why? Making that point by another Edomite. Okay? But black colleges are being threatened. There was also a Jake who got hung at a particular college. So things are getting ready to turn up, man.
These lockdowns will be in place until further notice. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo is following the latest for us. It seems, Stephen, like we're getting even more campuses that are closing down. Just
number six again, 6 HBCUs.
Upon hearing what the other campuses are choosing to do.
That's true. And to be honest, it's been hard to keep up because we just keep getting new information from new campuses that are shutting down because of concern or because they've received direct threats from this. You mentioned we had Southern University as well. That's in Baton Rouge. Bethune-Cookman, which is in Daytona Beach. And interesting, Spelman University has that shelter in place order, but it's actually not received any specific threats, they said, but the close proximity to...
See, Jake think they just go, because there's no unity amongst Jake. Y'all hate each other. talking about, stay ready, my black people. Stay ready. What are you going to do? You need Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Okay? But what's going to happen is a lot of Jake are going to start uniting, in their simplicity. All right? Because it's not going to be under the banner of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. It's going to be under the banner of being black and being targeted. And they're going to be a terror unto Egypt. That's prophecy as well. But I just wanted to show that. You can see the name of that video if you want to check that out. But yeah. But I wanted to play this. This is off of I've Had It. These two Edomite women, who hate, that I believe they're on the left. But they bring out some good points. Trump to strip our civil rights away after the C. Kirk murder. Okay? Remember, this is all deceit. As a matter of fact, we always bring this out, though it's talking about Antiochus Epiphanes, Daniel 8:25, and through his policy, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. All right? Through his policy, he's going to cause craft to prosper in his hand. So policies will be passed from this happening. That's going to cause his craft to prosper in his hand.
Charlie Kirk, the right is calling for an all-out war against Democrats. This seems to be coordinated. This seems to be intentional. And it is chilling to the bone as Pumps and I sit here and have still a First Amendment right to express our disagreement with other influencers like Charlie Kirk, and also state how saddened we are that somebody in the United States of America is shot from a sniper's nest on a university campus. And so here's just a sampling of what is happening on the right wing. Pop up the first tweet, Kylie. Matt Forney says, for years, the radical left has compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis. This type of language is directly responsible for the terrorism we're seeing in our country today. Trump is going to destroy the left once and for all. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. We're doing it for you. And I want to point out that as of filming this right now, there is no suspect. And when there is no suspect, there is no motive. Nobody knows right now who killed.
Now they have one suspect. And then he was supposedly, now the suspect was dating a trans, because this video was done 5 days ago. But I was, it's a bunch happening. I didn't get a chance to do a news and prophecy. That's why I'm doing it now. But now they have a guy in, as a matter of fact, let me see if I can, I'll look for it. But, and the guy, his father supposedly turned him in, but he's supposedly dating a trans. It's, a big mess, man. A big mess. All right.
Charlie Kirk, or why. They definitely wanted to kill him, and they definitely had the skill to kill him and had an opportunity for this to be a mass shooting situation. And it was clearly very targeted at Charlie Kirk. And I want to state that I condemn it with everything in me, but I also condemn the responses from MAGA influencers like him. And I also condemn the response from the sitting president of the United States, who riled up a violent insurrection on January 6th. And this same MAGA influencer, a couple hours later, after he sent the first one, then he sent this. Charlie Kirk being assassinated is the American Reichstag fire. It is time for a complete crackdown on the left. Every Democratic politician must be arrested and the party banned under RICO. Every libtard commentator must be shut down. Stochastic terrorism, they caused this. And so let's go back in history and let's arm ourselves with what a Reichstag fire was.
And if you look at what, the states where Trump is so-called bringing the troops, it's all blue states. It's all states ran by Democrats, okay, with a high population of Jake, right? So again, this is that left-right paradigm, man. You got to watch these devils, man. It's nothing but deceit, okay? Psalms 10 and 7, okay? His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Okay, Psalms 36 and 3. The words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. He have left off to be wise and to do good. So they are up to no good. Just know that. Okay? And what comes from this is going to be more and more rights stripped away. Right? And more hell and more surveillance in the MOTB system, okay, amongst civil war.
So I want to point out to you that initially he says they called us Nazis. And that's what killed Charlie Kirk. And then 2 hours later, he calls for this to be the Reichstag fire. What is a Reichstag fire? Put it up, Kylie. A Reichstag fire was a major event in Germany on February 27th, 1933, when the Reichstag building, the German parliament in Berlin, was set on fire. A young Dutch communist named Maurits van der Lubbe was found at the scene and arrested. The Nazis, led by Adolf Hitler, quickly blamed communists in general for the fire. Using the fire as an excuse, Hitler convinced President Hindenburg to issue the Reichstag Fire Decree, which suspended many civil liberties like freedom of speech, press, and assembly. This allowed the Nazis to arrest political opponents, especially communists and socialists, and helped Hitler consolidate power. In simple terms, the Reichstag fire was likely started by one man, though some think the Nazis may have staged it. But it gave Hitler the perfect excuse to crush his opponents and turn Germany into a dictatorship. So this is what...
So, yeah, see, they allowed you to see that blood spilling. You know, that caused for a lot of these, maggers and people, on the right, that caused like, whoa, people, period. You see that blood shooting up, but then on the left, you have people celebrating, right? Openly celebrating. People are even losing their jobs for celebrating online the death of C. Kirk, right? So what can this lead to? Do you hear what she's saying? Are you listening to what she's saying? We know history repeats itself. Remember, Nero burned down a Colosseum, or a region of Rome, and the Colosseum that was burned was associated with the god Jupiter, and that led to him passing legislation to off all of the followers of Yahweh Shai. He passed legislation on that, something he did. Okay? Let's listen to this again.
Fire. A young Dutch communist named Maurits van der Lubbe was found at the scene and arrested. The Nazis, led by Adolf Hitler, quickly blamed communists in general for the fire. Using the fire as an excuse, Hitler convinced President Hindenburg to issue the Reichstag Fire Decree, which suspended many civil liberties like freedom of speech, press, and assembly. This allowed the Nazis to arrest political opponents, especially communists and socialists, and helped Hitler consolidate power. In simple terms, the Reichstag fire was likely started by one man, though some think the Nazis may have staged it. But it gave Hitler the perfect excuse to crush his opponents and turn Germany into a dictatorship. So this is what's happening on the right now. They're saying the left caused this because they called us Nazis, and they use comparisons to our school of thought and the way that we want to govern with 1930s Germany. And I want to remind you that Mitch McConnell has done this, that Marco Rubio has done this, and that the sitting vice president of the United States has also made these same comparisons about the MAGA regime before they flipped. And then a couple of tweets later, this same MAGA influencer calls for Nazi-style governing and said, this is the Reichstag fire. And the purpose of this was what they're doing right now is they're blaming the left for all of this. They're talking about incarcerating people like Pumps and me. They're talking about arresting Democratic politicians. The difference is there's no communists here, but it's liberals, the left. That's what they're doing. They're calling for this to be a Reichstag moment. And the next step, because when authoritarians get power, Pumps, their number one goal is to keep it. The next step in this, you guys, is going to be some sort of emergency action to suspend civil liberties. This is a very, very dangerous moment for the United States of America.
So again, the Bible was right. Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, right? And we showed you that this word horns, basically, when you look at it, kiras, I believe. Yep, kiras. Just to get to the point, a mighty and valiant helper. That's how they look at these leaders, someone to help their cause, right? And that's how C. Kirk is being, he's a part of the Horned system. He's a part of the right. So his ideology is going to save us. The author of deliverance, Trump's ideology is going to save us of the Messiah. That's how these people are being painted. Trump, Kirk, all of them. These ideologies are going to save our America. Okay, on the left, you had Kamala, you had the Obama, and they're following, right? So they came as if, they were there to help you, right? But the reality is that they're getting ready to use that left-right paradigm, which you Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you're lumped into the left. See, within their accusation, the scriptures call him the accuser of the brethren. You are on the left. Okay, you are a big problem, and the left allows you to be a problem. They pacify you with DEI. They pacify you, with BLM. They pacify you with civil rights, and but now we have a regime in place that, now we're going to erase the trans ideology, the nigger ideology, all of these ideologies that are bringing our system down. Meanwhile, the elites, right, with the divide and rule strategy, this is one of the oldest political strategies. Keep ground suspicious or hostile towards each other so they cannot unite against their rulers. By amplifying cultural, social, or political divides, elites prevent mass solidarity that could challenge their dominance. Okay? Because though you may hate a nigga, right? Though you may hate certain things about people, what is the real problem in America? Shit is expensive. The education, period. I mean, ultimately the rulers. Right? Yeah, certain behaviors that are being allowed to, it all goes back to the government, the rulers of this thing. It says economic exploitation. Disunited workers are easily underpaid, or easier to underpay. Okay? Overwork and replace. If people see each other as competitors or enemies, they are less likely to unionize, strike. Even if you do have a union, people, it's just, okay, something you pay into. People don't even really know what their union rights are. They just, yeah, I'm going to join a union so that it'll be harder to fire me. They don't know what the hell, they're not really uniting, against the rulers. It says, or demand fair wages together. Division allows the wealthy to keep labor costs low while their own profits remain high. Political control. Polarization gives elites leverage. They can present themselves as protectors of one side against the other by funding media, which the media is a big part of their weapon. It's a medium, it's a mediator. Okay, it draws you in, by funding media, lobbyists, all right, and when you look at the bipartisan media, it's either they're funding the left or they're funding the right. They're giving you two opposing arguments. All right? Lobbyists are politicians that inflame division. Okay? They fund the media. They fund these lobbyists. They fund, all right, politicians that inflame division. They keep people loyal to parties or figures rather than uniting around shared economic interest. All right, we want clean water. We should deserve free water. Why are we being charged for air? Why is all this plastic every goddamn where? Okay? Overworked, underpaid, all of these issues that are plaguing the people, instead of focusing on what was in that jump shot? That juice that y'all made people get in 2020. Why are so many people being harmed by that? Why did Dr. Falsey have to get pardoned after years of telling us what we needed to do. At the very end, he gets pardoned. What did he need to get pardoned for? These are things people aren't questioning. How does the Gil Bates get to, jump from being a computer guy to telling us what to do with our bodies? Why, if there's trillionaires and billionaires, are we told to donate money when a catastrophic event happens? These are the things that people lose sight of when they are presented with this left-right paradigm. And before they know it, it's going to be a troop policing their streets, their stores, their malls, right? And they're going to be told there's going to be a curfew. Justification of surveillance or security states. Civil unrest or division is often used as an excuse to expand policing, surveillance, and authoritarian control. Okay? Like, let's see here. There was one I had. Yeah. After the shooting in Utah governor called social media a cancer on our society right now. So, social media is getting ready to be policed heavier. Right? Again, problem, reaction, solution. Now we need to surveil people more. Now, if we had Palantir, if we had more surveillance, we would be able to find the shooter before he did it. Okay? We'd be able, people who post certain things online, they'll be heavily surveilled. All right, so we can arrest them before they act with the whole Gideon thing. These devils are something else, man. Okay, as a matter of fact, let me play this video I had before I forget. The Internet of Behavior for Obedience and Compliance, IOB.
The physics of everything has to do with the Internet of everything, and it has to do with everything that Palantir, which is one of the investments of Peter Thiel, is that it has to do with hooking you up to the Internet, hooking up every living creature on the planet to the Internet, creating a hyperledger dossier on every aspect of everyone's life, their activities of daily living, their social credit, their obedience, their compliance with the rules of the Hunger Game. It has to do with your health records, called precision medicine, also known as electronic or telemedicine.
Is not this everything that they're doing, the Trump administration bringing about?
Different name for everything, right? Precision medicine is molecular engineering. It's neuromodulation. It's the invasion of your body autonomy so that you have no autonomy, that you're tethered to the cloud 24/7. That's what Peter Thiel is all about. That's what the biodigital convergence is. Biodigital convergence is the combination of organic biological creatures created by God. And then on the other side, you've got electronic engineering, radiation, toxicity, the weaponization of light, photonics, sound, ultrasonics, also known as ambient temperature and sound, and PAPAWS, which is the pulsing, which is now we refer to as neuromodulation. Across this sorry nation, neuromodulation, also known as phased array weapon system, is neuromodulation. It's the idea of cooking humans like a microwave from the inside out, using the 80% of water retention that a living biological creature has.
And see, this is why when you read Revelation 16, Revelation 16, because when they actually do get that tech inside of people, Revelation 16 and 2, it's basically going to radiate your ass. And the first went out and poured out his veil upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the MOTB, and upon them that worshipped his image. Okay, you have to understand what they're going to do. As we were reading Revelation 13, what comes from Revelation 13 and 11 is the implementation of the MOTB system, the MOTB period. Okay, things are going to be so out of control and crazy, and this is just the beginning of it, that, you know, if you want to buy and sell, we need to know who's who, what's what. Everybody's going to have to upload themselves on this digital grid. I think we were finished with this. Let's go back here.
And the reaction on the right to stoke more fear, to call for more violence, chills me to my bone.
I completely agree. And I was not aware of that. So thank you for sharing that. And I look at this and I think Trump has been trying to gerrymander the states so that we cannot have elections in 2026 that come out and fill Democratic seats with Republicans, because he does not want to lose power. But if you take away the power of the press, free speech, and assembly, you don't have to worry about that, because you continue to have the power. Calling emergencies, this immigration emergency, the tariff emergency. Now we have this gun violence emergency that is being blamed on a group of people when we don't even have a suspect in custody.
They've already started this. They've already started blaming this whole thing on the left. And we have no idea who it is, because the FBI is run by two podcasters who have no business running the FBI. And that would be like Pumps and I running the FBI. It's insanity. And the Trump regime has already defunded programs and funding and shed the FBI of people who focused on domestic terrorism. And so we're in a very critical juncture right here. And when you have the president of the United States and his influencers and his supporters, politicians, Nancy Mace said immediately right afterwards that she blamed the Democrats. There seems to be a message, a coordinated, responsive message by the right to immediately blame the left. And we don't know who shot him. And
all right, we'll get into the guy who supposedly did, but let's check this out.
I just want to take a minute to talk about the uniparty. And I don't mean the political uniparty, at the top, taking all the money from the same people. And so they just end up advocating for the same causes, usually war, endless war. They all stand up and give standing ovations whenever there's talk of war at the State of the Union address. I want to talk about the uniparty inside the voting population, the public. It's been really disheartening to watch the right become the left. And, I think a lot of us during COVID hoped that when we saw the right changing and being the only ones that were standing up for freedom and against the censorship and, just really being the ones that were talking sense into just life as the liberals were going totally and completely. Liberals had completely lost their mind. I mean, after 2016, liberals had just reeled into derangement. I mean, they couldn't.
Yeah, they went crazy. The trans thing, then the jab thing, right? It was just, it was nasty work, man. But let's not forget, Trump told you he was Operation Warp Speed. He was all about that jab too. But the left just went crazy, man, which made people cry for the right. This is the typically how the cycle goes.
Not see straight the whole. Anytime you mentioned Donald Trump, they started foaming at the mouth. They wanted to censor everybody. They called everybody a Nazi. Everybody was a fascist. Everybody was a racist. Everybody was a bigot. If you voted for Donald Trump, you were the worst person on the planet. You have to stop these Nazis and fascists at any way, shape, or punch them in the mouth if you have to, right? And if you say, well, both sides, how dare you both sides this? Remember that when they would say that all the time? There's no both siding this. Don't both sides this. And there's good people on both sides. Trump said that. Oh, how dare you both sides this? There are not. One side is horrible. One side are Nazis. One side are fascists. One side's ruining the country. That's what liberals would say. And they would just go, they just went absolutely freaking crazy. They went out there and they were canceling everybody. How dare you say this thing? And so now we're going to call up your boss and we're going to get you fired. Right? We're going to do all these crazy things. And I think during COVID, a lot of us saw the right behaving differently. And we saw, and many of us who came from more traditional leftist circles thought, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I'm actually aligning with the right. I cannot believe that, this group that I was told was just like these evil demons, I'm actually aligning with them more than I am with the left. And I always come from the left. And there were many of us that felt that way, and many of us that flipped kind of over to the other side. Only to have this other side now fail, just miserably going into the exact same woke brain that the left went into. What am I seeing all day today? I am seeing so many right-wing accounts on X celebrating canceling people. They are actively out there canceling people. One account on Twitter was saying, I had to contact over 250 companies today about their employees. And all of these people on the right were championing them, saying, oh, good for you. Good, you're doing the Lord's work. That's amazing. What was this person contacting 250 companies for, you might ask? Oh, to cancel people. They were reporting employees like a liberal. They were reporting employees who were, in their mind, celebrating Charlie Kirk's death.
I don't know when or if I'll post this, but today's September 15th and it's 9:05 a.m. And yesterday at 5 p.m., I was fired from my job for posting a video saying I don't care about Charlie Kirk's death.
Or, not, basically that's what they were doing. They were like, anybody who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, they are despicable and we are going to get you fired. We're going to get you reported. That is cancel culture. That is exactly what it is. It is people saying something you don't like. You find it distasteful. This is what the liberals were
Remember, the right was supposedly against that?
doing. You're a racist. You made racist remarks. We don't tolerate racism in this country. We're going to get you fired. And they would go and they would contact 250 employers to get people fired. And now the right is literally doing this exact same thing. And when I pointed it out, what did they say? They said, how dare you both sides this? Where have I heard that phrase before? I'm sorry. Am I talking to somebody on the right or on the left? The words are exactly the same. I can't.
See that? It's a comment. The so-called left-right dim rep divide in this country obscures the class divide. It obscures the fact that both parties represents the interests of the bankers, CEOs, and large commercial landlords. That's why while we see our standards of living declining and endless wars, we seem powerless to stop them. Both parties stand in the way of the working class unity. Okay? And that's ultimately who's getting ready to lose it. The working class. Okay? See that? We've been telling you.
Tell the difference. How dare you both sides this? I've been hearing that for years from the left. And now the right is literally saying the exact same things. The right is literally doing the exact same things that the left, that they hated the left for. Cancel culture.
And Salakia, if I seem to be a bit boastful in the fact that we told you, really Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, via the Holy Spirit, used the men of the Lord to tell you. Again, let's get that in the book of 2 Corinthians, because I don't want to come off as proud. That's the last thing I want to do. I'm just excited. But let's get 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter. I just take pride in the leadership given through the Spirit, man. 2 Corinthians 4 and 5, for we preach not ourselves, but Yahweh Shai the Lord, and ourselves your servants for Yahweh Shai's sake. See? For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, have shined in our hearts, our minds, basically. The Hebrew word for heart is lab, which means your mind, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of the Most High in the face of Yahweh Shai. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels. See? We're just mere flesh, man. That the excellency and power may be of the Most High and not of us. So we've received this light as we're in these earthen vessels, man, to be able to prophesy, to be able to go into the volume of the book and bring these things out. But to see prophecy coming to pass and to acknowledge the men who prophesied it through the Holy Spirit, all right, that's what I'm doing when I say that, okay? Because I'm starting to know I say that a lot. The men who told you, our apostles told us this, so that's all,
Both sides. How dare you both sides? No, that side is evil. We're different. That side's evil. How dare you? Right. I heard that from the left for years about you. And then I'm seeing, Donald Trump, who claimed that he was going to come into the presidency to tone down divisiveness and to bring us all together. And he's making the media circuit tour, blaming everything on the left, saying, well, yeah, there might be radicals on both sides, but the left, that's different. That's worse. That's bad. I mean, that sounds like Nancy Pelosi, AOC. That sounds like Democrats who were saying, no, the right was just a bunch of fascists. And then you've got, right-wingers talking out of both sides of their mouth today, saying the violence that fell upon Charlie Kirk is a direct result of Democrats calling us fascists. When you say that we're radical fascist Nazis, and you've been going around saying this for years, what do you think's going to happen? People are going to start trying to kill us, and that's what's happening. People are trying to kill us. We're having assassination attempts. And they're right. You shouldn't be saying things that lead to this sort of radicalization, right? I mean, if you literally are saying the other side's Nazis and they're trying to kill us, then you're going to end up with people who they think it's self-defense.
So these are the Egyptians are, all right, as we've, all right, and divided. Let's get that one too in Mark. Nothing good can come from this. Okay, these people are cracked out, drugged out, philosophied out there. They're all over the place. So nothing good can come from this. Okay? And this is what the elite want, man. Mark 3:24. A kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. Similarly, a family splintered by feuding will fall apart. And the Edomite race is falling apart. Okay? Isaiah 19:2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they will seek to the idols and to the charmers, their Palantirs and AI, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards to get them a victory. Enchantments, technology, the left hand, it ain't gonna work. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord. A fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. Okay? And we believe Trump fulfills that.
What do you mean when you say America won't stay together? What does that mean? Civil war, ? Is that what you were talking about?
I mean, we won't be one country. I mean, we might break up into 3 or 4 countries or 6 or 7 countries. Look, I don't know what it looks like, and I don't want it to happen. All I'm saying is we've been in this place for a while. It's gotten a lot worse, and I'll bet you if you polled the American people right now, should America stay together as one country or break up and be like the EU and be a bunch of different countries? I don't know how many Americans would say it's time for a divorce. I don't know.
The death of market influencer Charlie Kirk has sparked a powerful and often conflicting range of reactions, from mourning to bitter recrimination, highlighting the chasm in the political landscape in the US. Well, let's hear now from Joe Walsh, who's a former Republican congressman who's recently switched to the Democrats. Good afternoon, Joe.
Good to be with you.
He switched to the Democrats. Trump could splinter U.S. into 3 or 4 countries, man. Former Republican congressman. And you look at Trump's, the people who are on his side, a lot of them used to be Democrats. It's just a big joke, man. But you can look this up on Times Radio. I got this off of Elder Malcolm's video. I think I have it here. This is his video.
Joe Walsh, who's a former Republican.
Okay. 2 divided, 2 exposed, 2 through. GMS Maccabean Spirit, 144. Check that video out. Let's then go here. Let's see here. Let's get one more, and then I'll get one more, and we'll get up out of here. So the last one is the best one. I'll say the best for last. A guy who's been kicked off of YouTube. But this is another one I think I had. I think this is it.
He said World War III would. Steve Benoon here with Israeli News Live here. And listen, America is just not a sovereign nation any longer. And I think if you begin to really seriously look at the events that are happening around the world, you'll realize our sovereignty has been compromised. Everything from the case with Charlie Kirk and his assassination there to Israel bombing Qatar now, unprovoked, just to target Hamas leaders there.
The Americans ain't even making a big deal out of that. Out for what the small hats are doing.
The genocide of Gaza, and then, of course...
Y'all making this big deal about C. Kirk, but what about this? What's happening over there with the Palestinians, man? Come on now. The bottom line is that a new government needs to be put in place, and that's the throne of David, man. A righteous government needs to be put in place. The rulers of this world, again, we'll get back to that Chat GPT. They just capitalize off of mental manipulation, psyops, division. Okay, and just wickedness, man.
Now, even in the West Bank, all the Palestinian men in this one particular community have been rounded up and taken captive by the Israeli military. And the world is doing nothing about it whatsoever. The U.S. is only complicit. We're the one nation that continues to push this narrative. It doesn't seem to ever change. And I think if you really begin to look at some of the factual information surrounding all of this, it would it'll start really coming to more to light of exactly what is really going on. You know, I'm reminded by an interview that was given many years ago by a man. Gosh, I'm trying to think of the guy's name right off. Friedman. Friedman was his name, and he spoke about that Israel, using the United States, would actually end up ousting all the Palestinians from their homeland illegally. And of course, Friedman was a Jewish man, and he talked about this. He talked about how that Israel was going to do this. And I'm going to actually get his name for you. I'm trying to pull that up real quick here from the history there where I was watching this or listening to this yesterday. It's worth listening to. It's disturbing, though. It's very disturbing to think of that. That we're being so duped down, and Benjamin Friedman, it was his name. And you should look up that interview that he did years ago, because he's spot on to the dot, going to World War I, World War II. And he said World War III would be preceded by Israel totally ousting everyone from the Middle East there. They would throw all the Palestinians out of their homeland, and how that they were Khazarian Empire that he came in there to take over.
Whoa. He called the small hats the Khazarian Empire. Khazars, Edomites. See that? It's all coming out, man. Esau is being made bare by his own kind. See that? Letting you know that those aren't the real people. Those are Khazars, which who are the Khazars? They're Edomites who converted to Judaism.
And it's very true. I mean, we've had the Jewish scholar Fink out of Russia, who has openly said that. Very true as well. But I want to show you the connection. Even Charlie Kirk is connected to that very issue there. Someone that steps out of line that's taken down because of that very thing. And our own family knows all too well when you are pro-Zionist and then suddenly you have such an influence and you impact the people so well that one step out of line, then the next thing you know, you're being visited by Mossad agents there who are warning you to get back in step or else. And there are some that are saying that Charlie had been invited by Netanyahu to Israel, especially after he started making a turn himself, questioning the things about what happened on October the 7th, and he refused. And
so the small hats are losing control of the narrative. That could be why he was taken out. I'm not getting into that. You know, who knows? We know, but who knows? Let's just leave that one there. So I'm going to play this. The official Rumble channel for Call. All right, we'll just call him Call. When I play the video, you'll know exactly who it is, but Lord willing, this video stays up because they take his videos down left and right.
At your screen, these are two of the photos that the FBI Salt Lake City just released. They say, we're asking for the public's help identifying this person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. So the FBI just releasing moments ago photos of who they're calling a person of interest in Charlie Kirk's murder. You can see both of those different angles of this person of interest right here. We were hearing initially that the person of interest they were looking for was wearing all black, and now we can see from these photos this person of interest wearing a black hat, a baseball cap, with their eyes shielded with dark sunglasses and dark attire right here. So they're asking for the public's help in identifying this person of interest. They're asking anyone to call 1-800-CALL-FBI.
As the suspense builds, the FBI has released a photo of the person of interest as the manhunt continues. The suspense is so important into sucking people into the psychosis. But before we get into details here about other narratives that we all have to pay attention to, because this has everything to do with our rights. Our rights are being taken away from us because of events like this. If you're falling into this because you're turning on the media or the alt-right media or whatever other media you consume, pull yourself out of it. Stop being concerned as to whether or not this guy was shot and killed, if it was a false flag and he really was murdered or he wasn't murdered, because the outcome of that is the same. They are going to bring in change from this, and the narrative that's...
I thought my mom was crazy for trying this weird ice water hack, but then I saw her transformation and I just need to show that.
coming with the shooter and transgender ideologies, and of course, him being on the loose for so long and us not being able to apprehend him as fast, and how biometrics would have saved the day. Those are things we have to pay attention to because it's going to affect your life every day. They want you emotionally sucked in. They want you thinking about his wife and his kids. That's done by design. We'll never know if he's alive or dead, really, but what we know is that this is a government operation. Very clearly. We have people out there saying it's a false flag. They really killed him. He turned on Israel. That's fine if you want to believe that. There's others like me who believe when he was rushed into that SUV that he was taken where everybody else goes, to be unaccounted for over in Israel, likely bunking up with Jeffrey Epstein and the other people who they fake kill off so that you emotionally get invested in their psychological operations. Pull yourself out. I understand it's easy to get sucked in. I understand it's easy to want to believe that the stuff you see on the news is real, but that's how they get everybody. Look how people are reacting. Remind yourself of that these are controlled events. Do not worry about if the man was really killed or he wasn't killed. It's not about that. As crazy as that sounds, these are actors who are acting. They are unlikely taking one another out unless that person crosses another, unless there is a bigger goal to achieve. And there is a bigger goal to achieve. These laws and rules are going to bring in, including red flag laws and biometric surveillance. So come with me now. Pull yourself.
You see that? That's what you focus on. That's what we're focused on. All right? The laws that are going to come from this.
Out. Take a deep breath, okay? Let's look at this from a psychological standpoint. They've released the image of the shooter, right? He's got a shirt. We see the American flag on it. Of course we do. He's wearing a shirt with the American flag. When we get a better look at the shirt, we'll see what's engraved inside of that American flag. But read between the lines here. FBI releases images of person of interest in the shooting. Authorities are asking for the public's help in identifying the person as the manhunt for Kirk's killer continues. A rifle and ammo were found. FBI releases images of person of interest. They announced a $100,000 reward. So they're calling on the public to find this guy. People are going, does anybody know this guy's on the loose? And maybe potentially, which I doubt, but there's always the potential that this guy goes and shoots somebody else, because that would really be the coup de grace, or whatever they call the coup de grace of this, if he goes and shoots somebody else because they didn't apprehend him in time. Because this is about biometric surveillance. So if something happens with this guy, everyone's going to blame the police and say they didn't get him in time. They called in the people to help. Nobody could recognize him because he was in a costume. But you know what to recognize him? Facial recognition, right? And what's that big, beautiful bill all about? The big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump passed and everybody was complaining, well, what's in the beautiful bill? How much tax money do we have to spend? Nobody's paying attention that the big, beautiful bill was based off of AI surveillance, funding biometric surveillance and AI tech. Trump is all in on AI governance infrastructure. He shows you every day. The Golden Dome he's talking about building. It's not a missile defense system. It's surveillance 24/7, no escape, 1984. And just look at the stuff with Palantir. Palantir workers, former workers condemning the company's work with Trump administration. Trump is in bed with Palantir. Palantir is the enemy of the state. They are the all-seeing eye. They are Big Brother. And you're going to hear more of Palantir in the mainstream as they boost their stock up, because they want people to look at Palantir as if it's saving the day. And that's what the conservatives are doing right now, right? How do we know they're doing that? Well, because they've told us that ICE is using Immigration OS by Palantir, an AI system to track immigrants' movements. And every day we're hearing about how immigrants are getting deported, how they're finding immigrants who have already committed crimes, who are illegals, and they're deporting them. Thanks to what? Thanks to tech, thanks to Big Brother, thanks to Palantir. So they're applauding it. Now just imagine we start shifting with this story towards that. We can't find the shooter. Maybe we'll call on Palantir to put that image through their database and bring up the person of interest and who he is, and then they'll be able to go and apprehend him. Because that's what it's going to lead to. We're going to hear about why it's taking so long. There's two reasons that it's taking so long. One, it builds suspense, which sucks people deeper into the psychosis. Number two, it's giving people this feeling of, why haven't they caught him? What is the problem? Can we trust these people in the FBI? These same people, the ones against Trump? Are they the ones who were trying to get him in prison? Maybe we need something faster and quicker, because what if this guy goes and shoots another conservative speaker? Maybe he will. Maybe he has by the time this gets uploaded. Maybe it'll already be news. Think about those things as we move forward. The tech giant Palantir is helping the U.S. government monitor its citizens. It wants to monitor its citizens. So the buildup of suspense right now, if you look up anything, ask Google, ask Brave, ask whatever search engine you're using. Ask them about writing a story or a movie and how important the buildup of suspense is. Buildup of suspense significantly increases reader engagement, right? By creating tension, anxiety, emotional investment, making them eager to discover what happens next. Do you see the response that's going on right now? Do you see it? Do you see how many people are losing their minds over this guy that they've never met because they're in the internet psychosis, the social media psychosis? Some guy they've only heard speak online that they think.
Yep, these podcasters, these what the hell is that? These guys like Kirk, Myron from Fresh and Fit. They've, that's the new wave. They're being used for a big part of, these the plan. I'll just say that.
Think is their friend because he speaks like they do, it talks like they do, and he's speaking for them, right? They are deep in the psychosis. Joey, people have come
2 horns like a lamb. Okay, we showed you horn.
back to the website since this has happened because people are going, I need to find out what's happening because of the suspense of it all. The buildup, who's behind it? Why did it happen? Is it real? Is it not? But most importantly to the, the deep state, to Big Brother, this buildup of suspense brings people in. It's basic psychology. It's people who write books, who write movies. That's what they do to you when you read a book of fiction or you watch a movie. The more there's a buildup towards that end, that climax, the more engaged you are in the story. So that's why all these headlines are saying things like manhunt underway for gunman who killed Charlie Kirk. Manhunt continues, right? Everybody's looking around going, where is this guy? Oh, and then finally they release an image of him. But before they release an image, they want to remind you of all these other things so they could build this up in your mind, who they're going to present to you as the shooter. Because without, it's very clear. Everybody out there already thinks that the shooter's transgender. Do they not? Well, that's done by design, right? Kirk was answering a question about transgender mass shooters seconds before he was shot. They wanted you to know that right away. The first video I did on this, I played you the news clip. He was talking about, we just got word Charlie Kirk has been shot, they said on Fox News.
We just started getting word just a couple of moments ago that Charlie Kirk has been shot. We have very few details so far coming in on this. We're dependent on witnesses. Utah Valley University. And he was speaking in front of a crowd. And in that moment, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was speaking about obviously trans issues in the country today when a shot or shots rang out. And we can now confirm via Jason.
The left. Okay. Which again, you tied in with the left. They've put you in that you're a part of that accusation.
Chaffetz, who was at the event at Utah Valley University, that shots rang out as Charlie was talking about transgender mass shootings.
We just got word, oh my goodness, and he was talking on stage, and he was talking about trans, but who cares about what he was talking about if he was just shot? Oh, you want everyone to know he was talking about transgender. So people are automatically in their head, they're saying the shooter's likely transgender. Oh, transgender shooters are going after conservatives and kids in church, right? So they wanted you to know that that's what he was discussing, the irony of it all, because it's a scripted story. Then what did they tell you? The breakthrough in the hunt, a college-age suspect. The media releases little info at a time, right? The media this morning starting reporting, it's a college-age suspect. Well, yesterday it was an old man, right? People weren't reacting the way you would expect. They were just going, who is this old guy? I didn't cover it when I saw it because I was waiting because they have to cover it so you know where they're going with it. They waited. People looked around. Who is it? Well, we do know he's in college. He's in college, right? Think about this whole setup that they've created over the last decade. It just started a decade ago with Charlie Kirk, the Steven Crowder, these guys who go on college campuses and get in people's faces and debate them. Now, they're not literally in their faces. There's nothing wrong with having a debate. But this is a CIA operation. They've built this whole thing up, and people see it, and then they attend it. Look at the size of the crowds that are going to these things so they can debate these guys. But done by design. So they want you to know it's a college-age kid. Kirk was talking about transgender. And then, of course, the next calling card of the government, they want you to know it was a high-powered rifle that was recovered. Well, I'm shocked. I can't believe it. I thought it was going to be a BB gun. Yeah, they recovered a high-powered rifle. And then what they tell you next? No, they leaked the story, can't find the guy yet, but they want to build this suspense up in your mind. Well, the ammunition, this is from the Wall Street Journal, the ammunition in the shooting was engraved with transgender anti-fascist ideologies, right? You gotta love how these guys leave their weapon behind too. Right? I mean, is this classic? I get it. If you get shot and killed or they supposedly off themselves, they leave their weapon. This guy just dropped his gun on the roof and ran. He didn't think, hey, maybe I need this gun to protect myself or something like that. Maybe I can get rid of the gun so that if they arrest me, they can't prove that I was a shooter because they couldn't find the gun. That's what we hear about crime shows, right? Oh, we found the guy. He's definitely the guy, but we can't find the weapon. We need that evidence. So he just left the evidence for them, right? And I love this other notion of all these guys who want to go and do these things, leaving calling cards, writing it engraved. Whoever has heard of such a thing, how would you even engrave in a gun? Right? I mean, how do you engrave it? I mean, that's a lot of work. So they're engraving in the gun.
So you can, you have to go to Rumble. You see the title of that video. Just go to Rumble and type this in. Or type in his channel if you want it. Charlie is coded 33rd. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look at that one later. I'm not going to play that one. But yeah. They're being made bare, man. You can clearly see that this was some sort of, left-handed happening. We'll just say that. Okay? Let's see here. So, yeah, the justification of surveillance and security states, civil unrest or division is often used as an excuse to expand policing, surveillance, and authoritarian control, which ultimately protects elite wealth and assets. Okay, like the Wizard of Oz, he threw all of that stuff at them just for them to get up on him and find out how docile and weak he was. And that's these elites, man. Okay? Consumerism and market profit, divisions fuels identity-based consumerism. Okay? Yep, they just make a bunch of money. Media outlets, specific groups in opposition against the other, fear and outrage as well. Media companies, which are often owned by the elites, profit from keeping people divided and emotional. Yep. Weakening of collective bargaining power. United, the common people could demand structural change, better wages, fair taxation, corporate accountability. Divided, they argue amongst themselves while elites keep rewriting rules in their favor, like tax loopholes, deregulation, and bailouts. Okay? In short, the division amongst ordinary people allows the elite to maintain wealth, avoid accountability, and tighten control. Unity amongst people, on the other hand, is one of the greatest threats to entrenched power. And then it said, do you want me to show you some historical examples? I'll say yes, but I'll keep them for another video. Yep, it says slavery, the colonial divide and rule, Industrial Revolution, labor movement, Jim Crow, and political divisions, Cold War politics going in. Chat is going in. So, you'll come back to that one, at a later date. But as you can clearly see, Esau is being, made bare. All right, 2 Thessalonians 2:8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. This is the work of Satan right here. Everything we're watching and listening to, with all power and signs and lying wonders. And the beauty of it is that their own tongues, okay, are falling on themselves. Psalm 64:8. And so they shall make their own tongue to fall on themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. People are waking up, and see what's going to happen is the working class are going to snap, because that's who really that's why they're trying to bring these robots and all. It ain't going to work, man. Job 20:23 or 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. The word wicked is aimal, the laborer, the sufferer, the wretched one, the laborer, the workman. People are going to lose their minds. Jake too. And we know what, let's get 2 Esdras 15 in the GNT. One of our favorite scriptures here lately. 2 Esdras 15 and 14. The world and the people in it are doomed. The war that will bring their destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves to fight against other nations. There will be great political turmoil, with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. There will be no longer be free access to cities, because of their struggle for power will bring destruction, terror, and total confusion wherever people live. So everything happening plays into the hands of the elite, but they're getting ready to find out that they're no longer in control. You will pay for all of this wickedness. Okay, you could try your hardest to keep people's minds off of the reality of the evil that you're doing and that you have done. I didn't even mean to click this, but Biden and men spent $10 million in taxpayer funds on transgender lab rats, stuff like this, man. Okay, it's just complete wickedness, man. All right, so, I mean, I think that's it. I think we'll just leave it there. Yeah, and this is a video too you can check out. GMSKC Prophets 3, the world is a stage. Mass psyops are being used on the people. He goes deeper into that book that was on Amazon surrounding this death 6 days before the shooting took place. Okay, he goes into that. So if you want that understanding, check out that video. There was one that the Elder Palal did, but I didn't save it, where I got one of the videos from as well. But I'm gonna leave it there. All right, we see our enemy is definitely on the go. Laws are going to be passed. Eventually, they're going to come at the men of the Lord. All right, but stand strong. All right, we'll be good. Just keep the faith. Shalom.